I think I busted a button in my trousers. You don't want me to lose my trousers now, do you? Okay. Baloo.
She and I started in the business about the same time, me here and Barbara in New York. Okay. Well, Jane, it's nice to see you again here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Thanks.
And, you know, I must say, Jane, I really didn't think the controversy would start this early, but here it is, hot and heavy into controversy. What's the latest on the GE situation?
I only know what you know, probably. General Electric, who normally sponsors the Barbara Walter special interview that she does 3 times a year, withdrew their sponsorship because of my presence on the program and because we discuss the new film of mine, The China Syndrome, that's coming out March 16th. And I'm very pleased that Barbara and the network refused to change any of the interview and are going ahead and will look for a new sponsor. I respect that. General Electric made a business decision, and that's their business, but I can't help feeling that a lot of people are going to wonder what it is they're worried about.
Sorry.
No.
Okay. All right, everybody ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Pete?
Jane, did it surprise you that the controversy has come up so early? The film isn't even out yet. It won't be out till March 16th.
Yes, I am. I'm very surprised. If I were the General Electric or the nuclear industry, I wouldn't have done what they've done because I think it's only going to attract more attention to the China Syndrome, which is fine from my point of view. They made a business decision to withdraw sponsorship of the Barbara Walter show because of my presence on it and because we discussed the China Syndrome. But, you know, you can't help wondering, and I think a lot of people are going to wonder what it is that they're afraid of. And if they are trying, by doing this, to keep people from seeing the movie, I think that they've made a terrible mistake. The film is not a propaganda film in any way. It has a point of view. I have a point of view. But I don't need a film to expound my political points of view. I belong to an organization. I make speeches. I tour. There's a lot of other ways of doing it. You do a documentary. I gave up many years ago thinking that film could be used as propaganda.
But the thing is, Jane, that people will say, because you are a person who speaks her mind and you do have opinions on issues, they're going to say, oh, there's Jane Fonda again now doing a big anti-nuclear thing. How will you respond to those people who say that?
Do they want me to be a robot and not have a point of view? Would General Electric feel more comfortable in another kind of system than a democracy, so that, you know, only performers or people who are espousing their particular line are allowed to be interviewed by someone like Barbara Walters? I mean, what is their position on democracy? I would like to know. There is no work of art, no film, no work of art in the world that has ever meant anything that hasn't had a point of view. The greatest films ever made in this country, Grapes of Wrath, Birth of a Nation, How Green Was My Valley, Network, Julia, I mean, name them. The best are all controversial films that deal with social issues. The China Syndrome, in my mind, is up there among the best of them. If they want us to make some propaganda film that's pro-nuclear, that's their business. I don't view our film as an attack against the nuclear industry. It's much bigger than that. It deals with much more universal issues, frankly. I'm not interested in making a propaganda movie. And I continue to wonder what it is they're afraid of. The nuclear controversy existed long before we did the China Syndrome and will continue long after the China Syndrome is released. We chose the nuclear backdrop because it's a thriller, and it's a good backdrop for a thriller, and it's never been done before. And the effect of the film proves that we were right, but...
Jane, for the record, are you against nuclear power plants?
I am interested in the alternatives. There are alternatives to nuclear energy. I am not particularly impressed by the nuclear industry. And clearly, not too many other people are either, because there have been no nuclear plants purchased in 2 years. But I'm not interested in spending my time attacking the nuclear industry. I would prefer to support the positive alternatives like solar energy. But I do that organizationally, public speaking, rallies, and other ways, not through movies.
Jane, there's another facet to the picture, the China syndrome, and that is you are a woman broadcast journalist. Okay.
How do you do?
Yes, how do you do?
What did you think of that part of it?
All right, Jane, I was very proud of certain things that I felt were really Jane Fonda getting into the role of a woman broadcast journalist. Did you do some homework? Did you get around with some women and talk with them and maybe, you know, go out with them?
Sure. Heidi Schulman, Robin Groth, Christine Lund, Kelly Lang, Jackie King, a lot of the women in the LA market that I knew or had the privilege of coming to know during the course of my research showed me how you do a shot from a live minicam, how the whole minicam technology works, how do you put a story together on your feet. I went out with Robin Groth to cover Betty Ford at some event in Los Angeles. Betty Ford never showed up, so she had to go and invent a story, and watched how all of that gets done. And my respect for your work, for what you have to do and how hard it is, grew tremendously. It also helped me to be on the other end of the microphone, because I can sympathize with where you're coming from more.
Jane, do you think that the kind of person that you are, and especially because you do have opinions on things, do you think that you could be a successful broadcast journalist? And I mean not doing very special things as a personality in journalism, but just doing the workaday type things.
I would find it very hard.
To be objective.
Yeah, I would find it very hard. I mean, just for example, right? When Betty Ford was coming to Los Angeles, it was shortly after she had been in Iran spending New Year's with the Shah of Iran, the former Shah of Iran. And the woman who was going to interview her was going over the questions that she wanted to ask her about why, for example, Betty Ford had, not Betty, Roz Carter, I'm sorry, Roz Carter had said something about the fact that women were not allowed to be present during a business meeting. And I said to the reporter, I think you should ask, what the hell were you doing there in the first place? Why should the President of the United States and his wife be spending any time at all with someone like the Shah of Iran? Well, I would have been fired immediately, out. But, you know, I would have had a hard time pretending like it's all right for anyone that represents our country to be with a man like the Shah of Iran. That's why I'm not a journalist, but I like it. I enjoyed it. I think that it's interesting work. It's stimulating. It requires a lot of intelligence that you're not always allowed to show, but that you have to be good at it.
Jane, have to talk about Academy Awards. What do you think your chances are?
Pretty good. I hope I win.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. You know, normally people say, oh, well, who knows, and blah, blah, blah. But see, that's what I love about interviewing you. Jane Fonda speaks up. Okay, so you think you do have a good chance. And what about John? Do you think he
Oh, I think John's going to win.
Do you really?
Oh, I'm much more sure about that, yeah.
All right, what do you think we'll get, which do you think will get Best Picture?
I sure hope Coming Home does, because as far as I'm concerned, it is the best, absolutely the best film.
And do you think The Deer Hunter is your biggest competition?
I don't know, because I haven't seen it. What is maybe The Unmarried Woman.
Do you really?
Yeah.
For Best Picture?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because it's a very popular film.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, when you didn't get it for Julia, was that, did you sort of figure you...
I didn't think that I was going to win. I wasn't able to feel unhappy about it because my little boy, who had never conceived of the idea that his mother could lose anything, virtually had a nervous breakdown in my lap when I lost. He collapsed in tears. So I had to spend all my time trying to comfort him and tell him that it was all right, that life would go on. So it just sort of went by me, but I didn't expect it, so I wasn't too disappointed.
Well, Jane, we'll be watching come Academy Award night, and I hope you walk up there on stage
thanks.
and get that Oscar.
Thank
you should have had it for Julia.
Thank you.
Do you, I just felt
Oh, I see. You're listening
Okay.
to me. Oh.
Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, now.
Jane, are you surprised that controversy connected with the China syndrome has come up so early, even before the picture has been released? Okay, that should do it.
Chuck isn't in here, is he? No. Well, you're sure good at it.
Your own stuff.
I don't actually do